Hello, it's Ginger's Greetings here on YouTube and on Instagram, and to set the stage for today's video, we are going to have to go back in time. It was in late elementary school, when I was but a wee Girl Scout glamping in the woods with my troop. We were painting on rocks together, and I was admiring the artistry of a girl I definitely did not have a crush on. I could recognize anime. With two nerdy older brothers, I practically grew up on this stuff. But I had never seen anything quite like this. The rock's closed eyes and goofy smile, it was enticing enough to draw me out of my shell. I asked her what it was, and that's when she told me. About Hetalia. I'd be surprised if people didn't know what Hetalia was, but then again, there are still people who don't know about Homestuck. So I'll give you the brief summary. Hetalia is a historical fiction and comedy that personifies countries into stereotypes. The main cast is comprised of the more well-known Axis powers from World War II, Germany, Italy, and Japan, who interact with the Allied powers amongst others in quick 5-minute shorts. Its easy to consume nature and over-the-top humor made it very appealing for young audiences. I should know. I was young audiences. Before we get any closer to the subject, I want you to understand that this show and its fandom are brimming with controversy. And I don't mean anything small, like one potentially problematic line here or a shipping war over there. I mean cosplayers dressing up as Nazis level of bad. Some people like to enjoy it despite its flaws, and other people think the show should be boycotted altogether. Normally, I'm all for consuming media through a critical lens, but rewatching Hetalia made me genuinely uncomfortable. I had to turn it off after a particularly bad, offhanded line from Germany left me wondering how child me was allowed to watch that. I don't really mind what side of the fence you're on, but I do think that maybe impressionable kids shouldn't be consuming this particular piece of media. Just maybe. Long story short, I am making it clear now that I have long since left my middle school Hetalia phase. However, that doesn't mean the cringy Hetalia phase didn't exist. I was reminded of that when I found this gem deep in the beginning of my photo history. Here she is, y'all. The one and only, my totally original Hetalia OC. Isn't she beautiful? On top of being well known for its controversies, the Hetalia fandom was also filled to the brim with OCs. If you ever wanted to make your own middle school style Hetalia OC but you don't know how, well, I've got the formula for you right here. Start off with your second favorite character. Pick the capital of that country, or if you want to be #unique, you could pick another city, state, or equivalent. That's going to be who your character represents. And the country your character is in is going to be your older brother. Or sister, but I honestly don't think I ever saw a single OC based around any of the female cast. Just saying. Now, what does your OC look like, you ask? The easy answer is whatever the heck you want. They don't have to look anything like the canon character, just look up anime girls on Google Images and pick the one you think is pretty. However, if you want to make sure your character does resemble their older sibling, well, gender-bent fan art of the canon character works great. If you don't, want to steal other people's art, you can also draw your own. Just know that you're losing some of the authenticity of the era. Be sure to make their personality an exaggerated ripoff of your own. After all, this show's about stereotypes, so why not stereotype yourself? Just make sure to get rid of any of those pesky flaws. And of course, I hope you have your favorite character in your back pocket because they are going to be your love interest. Your character's love interest. Your character is a completely different person from yourself, and don't you forget that. Yeah, meet London, a shy girl who loves to bake and has a super secret crush on Japan. Wow. I wanted to start off by redrawing my original design, mostly so we could have something to compare with when I eventually, redo this design, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Wait till later on in the video. Also, I just love me a good redraw moment. Well, I did try to recreate a glitter effect here because if you can't tell, I slathered glitter over top of the original image. I did get rid of the weird swirly pattern and I gave her puffy sleeves. I'm not sure if I would have done that a second time. I was just trying to figure things out because the dress was kind of boring. I also added some purple as an in-between for the cyan and pink. And I tried to make sure she was radiating anxious energy in that, ooh, I'm just kind of shy way. I could just end it here. I shared my embarrassing fandom history with you. I gave you a 10-year then to now redraw. By all means, that's a lot of content. But I can't. I know in my heart that this job isn't done until I attempt to show that I've learned and improved on my skills in all areas, including character creation. It's redesign time. I could spend hours researching, deciding on a specific period, making iteration after iteration, and overall wasting my time on a dead fandom. But I won't. I'm just gonna go off of vibes and make another cute girl who's reasonably passable as England's sibling without being identical. I also want her to be a defined character separate from myself. or my past self, while still maintaining pieces of what made her her. I'm not changing her core traits. She's still London, England's her brother, she's in love with Japan, and at heart she's incredibly anxious. But how these facts manifest will differ. While her appearance was one of the more obvious things that needed to change, it was also difficult to tweak while still maintaining a sense of character. Her pink hair was one of the only consistent physical traits about her, and I was worried that if I got rid of that entirely, it wouldn't look like her anymore. In the end, I decided to make her natural hair color a strawberry blonde and gave her dyed reddish pink ends. I also changed her eye color from that blue purple to green to match England's. And I made her eyebrows thicker too, because for some reason those thick liney eyebrows were like England's only defining feature. Physically, anyway. In terms of her clothing, I didn't really want to mimic the uniforms from the show. I just wanted to make something that looked more put together. I changed her dress to be green to match her eyes while maintaining the original cyan and her accessories. I also gave her white tights, sleeves, and a collar, mostly just because I thought it complemented the green nicely. And in an attempt to at least convey in some way that this is supposed to be London, I gave her a bag with a clock on it to represent Big Ben. I think it's cute, but whatever. I've never been good at designing clothing, and I am still not, but I think this is at least somewhat of an improvement in terms of cohesiveness. I like her. I think it's fun. Finally, I want to address the heart and soul of what makes up a character, their personality. I have met siblings who are carbon copies of each other, and I have also met siblings where you can hardly tell they're related. I didn't need to change her personality for the sake of consistency, but because of the fact that she was originally an exaggerated version of how I used to perceive myself, or at least how I wanted to perceive myself, I knew it had to change. That said, I also can't just throw away her old personality into the trash chute and call it a day. I decided to keep the core of her personality the same. London has an anxiety disorder, and finding the words to say is hard. But instead of manifesting this in, ooh, I'm so shy persona, I figured this would be the perfect chance to make her a little bit more like her older brother. England is a tsundere, a common trope in anime where a character is gruff on the outside but is actually really soft and caring when you get to know them. I wanted to mimic this sense of duality in a slightly different way. London 2.0 is still anxious, but instead of being cute and adorable, people find her intimidating. They cower in fear as she glares at them from a distance, when in reality, she's just been trying to motivate herself to come over and join the conversation. I don't know if there's a name for this character trait, but I have definitely seen it portrayed in both old and new media, so I know it's a thing. And I've seen it enough to get the sense that I feel like this and the tsundere character type are kind of related. It also maintains the anxious energy while still making it something distinctly different from myself and the original character. With all that out of the way, I think it is safe to say that London 2.0 is finished. She gave me some difficulty, and I'm not sure how much she feels like the original London anymore, but I think her design is cute. And if it weren't for the fact that I now have a Hetalia fanart folder that will haunt my files and me for the rest of my life, or as long as I have this computer, I'd be pretty darn happy with myself. Be sure to tell me in the comments what you think. Do you like the new design, or was the original one better? I personally had a mini crisis when I finished the two drawings because I realized I was drawn to the first one. But now that I think back on it, that might just be because it's nostalgic for me. I would also love to hear if any of you guys have old OCs, Hetalia or otherwise. This has been Kate, otherwise known as Ginger's Greetings, here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I hope that you all have a lovely piece of media that you can cleanse your eyes with. Bye-bye!